What's good, guys? Welcome back to the last minute predictions for UFC Edmonton. Moreno versus Albazi. It's going to be a good card. This card's kind of stacked, in my opinion. It's going to take place tomorrow, November 2nd. It's going to be a very good card, and we're going to be breaking down this entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event. We have two very interesting fights in the main card, the main event and the co-main. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the face-offs, and we're going to talk about how Derek Lewis wasn't able to show up. I wonder what happened. Hopefully he's able to show up tomorrow, and hopefully he's not sick or anything. They said the fight is still on, so let's see how that goes. First fight of the night, Jamey-Lyn Horth versus Ivana Petrović. Ivana Petrovic's a plus 188. Jamey-Lyn Horth is a minus 225. Jamey-Lyn Horth is good. She's the favorite. She made weight. Everybody made weight, which is one thing that I like. I like it when everybody makes weight. Will this fight go the distance? It seems like a lot of these fights on this card will go the distance. I think this fight will go the distance. Yes, it's favored at a minus 360. It's juiced. Lyn Horth, double chance by KO on points. It's my best prop at a minus 160. I think it's better than her money line since she's already a minus 225. A lot of people like Ivana Petrović, and it's going to be a good scrap. They look almost identical in height. Ivana Petrović just looks like she's a little bit more leaner. It looks like Jamey-Lyn Horth is a little bit more bigger in size, and maybe that's going to take into consideration in the physical aspect. So I have Lyn Horth by KO on points at a minus 160. I think she's going to win this fight. And if you want Petrović, you can go Petrović by points at a plus 270. Jamey-Lyn Horth by points is a minus 115 as well if she doesn't get the KO, but I just want to play it safe. So I took her at a minus 160. Over 2.5, minus 450. Under 2.5. Very rare, but plus 310 if you want it, and you're a degenerate. I think this fight's going to go the distance, so you could take Jamey-Lyn Horth by KO on points. I think that's the best prop, and I think she should be able to beat Ivana Petrović. That's going to be a good fight. Honestly, it's the first fight. A lot of people are going to be like, oh, it's the prelims. That's trash. I don't want to see it. But I'm excited to see that fight, and I'm excited that we still have UFC all the way until Thanksgiving. Chad Ellenher versus Cody Gibson. Cody Gibson's a minus 205. Chad Ellenher is a plus 164. Gibson's much taller. He looks like a Darren Till. I know a lot of people said that. It was a respectful face-off. I like face-offs like this. They were respectful, look at each other. Chad Ellenher is 37 years old, and his grappling isn't the best in my opinion, and Cody Gibson isn't the insane grappler as well. If you want to go Gibson by sub, it's pretty good. Gibson by sub is a plus 410. I think that's the best prop for this entire fight. It's rare. It might not be likely, but I think if anything's going to go, if we're going in the scrambles, if this fight gets into the scrambling department, if Chad tries to go for a sloppy takedown, Cody Gibson's going to try to jump on that neck, and he's going to try to secure a submission. Plus 410, not bad of a sprinkle. If you like Chad, you could go Chad by points at a plus 270. Under 2.5, plus 180. Over 2.5, minus 234. Honestly, I think the over 2.5 is the best. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these fights, majority of these fights, go the distance. Will this fight go the distance? Yes, at a minus 190. Give me Cody Gibson to win this fight by decision. If not by decision, by submission. But I'm going to go Cody Gibson. I'm going to just take his money line. I'm not going to risk it. You don't want to get fancy, but if you want to play submission, I think the best chance is for him to win by submission. Sidey versus Garrett Armfield. This is going to be a very good fight as well. 7-16. What's crazy about this fight is that Sidey is coming off of that weird loss to Roman Tavares. A lot of people say that he rightfully lost that fight, and me too. I think he lost that fight fair and square, but he's coming to bounce back and get back into the win column. He faces off against Garrett Armfield. Garrett Armfield recently fought Brady Haystan. He dropped him, but then he got put into a submission. Sidey is a minus 136. Garrett Armfield's a plus 114. Sidey's going to be looking to be the taller striker, rangier striker, but he does not move his head at all. That's why I'm scared to pick him. He's one of my most confident picks for this week, but his odds have dropped insane. He was a minus 150 earlier this week, and now he's a minus 136. So it looks like a lot of people are jumping on Garrett Armfield. I think the best option for this fight is just to take money line either side. It looks like it's going to be a very competitive fight. Garrett Armfield might drop him, but Sidey's going to have to come back, overwhelm him with the volume, and we're going to see how good he does. I think Sidey should be able to win this fight. It's going to be a very competitive fight, though, and I think this fight goes the distance. I think it should be favored to go the distance, and I think it's going to be a very competitive fight. But if you want to play this game, Sidey by points, plus 160. Armfield by points, plus 320. I thought it was crazy that they're giving Armfield by points, plus 320, because considering that the fact that this is probably going to go the distance, it's favored to go the distance. And once it goes to decision, it could be anybody's game. If Garrett Armfield gets his wrestling going, he could secure this W. Will this fight go the distance? Yes, at a minus 250. Yes, at a minus 150, actually. Will this fight go the distance? Yes, minus 150. No, plus 120. Over 2.5, minus 186. Honestly, I'm going to take the over 2.5 at a minus 186 and give me Sidey money line at a minus 136. It's going to be a very competitive fight. Either side, I think it's going to be very good, and you can get... it's parlayable, but I think money line is the best option for either pick on that side, because you never know. Alexander Romanov versus Rodrigo Nascimento. Very competitive fight as well. Not as competitive as the last one, but this is very important. We looked at the ceremonial weigh-ins. We talked about how we wanted to see Alexander Romanov. We wanted to see if he was in shape, and it looks like Rodrigo Nascimento is more in shape than Alexander Romanov. Romanov looks in shape. He looks ready. He looks like he's the taller fighter. He is the taller fighter. He was a minus 115. Now he's a minus 124. He was an underdog, and the odds completely flipped. Rodrigo Nascimento is a plus 106 now. Romanov is two different versions. We don't know what Romanov is going to show up. I think it's going to be a very competitive fight. Rodrigo Nascimento had a competitive fight with Derek Lewis as well. He was grappling, and it got a little sloppy, just like I think this one will be. But I think Alexander Romanov should be able to win this fight. Over 2.5, minus 104. Under 2.5, minus 122. I don't think this fight goes the distance. It's favored at a minus 164. Romanov by KO or sub, plus 165. Romanov by KO on points, plus 130. Nascimento by KO on points, plus 165. Honestly, give me just money line. Give me Alexander Romanov to win this fight by unanimous decision. But we know Romanov sometimes has a 5-minute cardio gas tank, and he tends to have a quit button. So Rodrigo Nascimento is a very good dog. The fact that the odds switched means that a lot of people are on Romanov. I'm on Alexander Romanov as well. Give me him to win by unanimous decision, 29-28. I'm going to just take money line at a minus 124. Going to be a very competitive fight, 1-800-GAMBLER type of fight. I don't think you should bet on that fight. It's going to be a crazy, crazy fight. Honestly, I think that fight is skippable. Jack Shore versus Uselyis. This was going to be the first fight on the prelims. Now it got moved to this position. Plus 250 for Jack Shore. Uselyis is a minus 325. One thing for sure is Uselyis is a different person. This stare down didn't last that long, but Uselyis is a lot better. He looks more in shape. Not only does he look more in shape, but he looks like he's more fundamentally sound. This fight is going to be crazy because money line, you can't just take Uselyis, but he's parlayable at a minus 325. I think it's a very competitive fight. Jack Shore is a plus 265 now, but if we go to method of victory, Uselyis by points, minus 115. Most of his fights tend to go decision, but we know if you want to go inside the distance, total rounds over 2.5 is a minus 300. But let's say we want to go Uselyis by submission, plus 750. Uselyis by KO, plus 500. In my opinion, I think this fight's going to go the distance. You can go under 2.5 if you want at a plus 220. In my opinion, I think this fight goes the distance. Jack Shore's tough as nails, and we saw in his last fight against Brito, his leg completely opened, and it was a terrible, 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 nasty injury, and he still survived it. Well, the doctor stopped it, but he was still able to withhold, and he has a high threshold. He has a very high threshold. I think Uselyis should be able to win this fight by decision at a minus 115. Give me Uselyis. If not, give me Uselyis at a minus 330 parlayable. I'm going to parlay him with one of the guys up ahead. Or you could parlay him with, if you want, you could parlay him with Charles Jourdain. Who's the next fight? 10:32. Okay, Charles Jourdain versus Victor Henry. If you want, Uselyis and Charles Jourdain is a very good parlay, or Uselyis and Victor Henry is a good parlay as well. Whichever one you want, I think it's very good. Charles Jourdain is a minus 142. Victor Henry is a plus 116. When it comes to this fight, Victor Henry is going to be trying to look to grapple. I feel bad because when I was doing tape study, I was watching his fight against Javid, and that was a rightfully no contest. That was rightfully so, and Javid acted like he won that fight. But now Victor Henry takes on a guy who's making his bantamweight debut, Charles Jourdain. Charles Jourdain is making his bantamweight debut coming off of that KO loss of Gene Silva. Brutal loss. Gene Silva missed weight that fight, but he still was able to get that win and finish Charles Jourdain, get his first ever finish First time ever Charles Jourdain has been KO'd in the UFC. Victor Henry is a guy who's going to be trying to wrestle. I don't know if he's going to be trying to look for the KO. He could. It depends on how chinny this guy Charles Jourdain is. I don't think he's that chinny. I think Gene Silva's just that guy. Will this fight go the distance? Yes, at a minus 270. Over 2.5, minus 340, just in case there's a third round late finish. Jourdain by KO on points, minus 125. Jourdain has a nice guillotine sometimes, but I think Victor Henry has a very good wrestling game, and he should be able to get out of that if he tries to get a guillotine. Victor Henry by points at a plus 190, Victor Henry by KO at a plus 1200. I think money line is better on either side, like I said earlier. Give me Charles Jourdain to win this fight by KO on points at a minus 125 if you want to get fancy, but I'll just take Charles Jourdain at a minus 142. I'll take him with use as a law. Nice little two-leg. Going to be a very good competitive fight. Give me Charles Jourdain to win that fight by decision. Not a bad pick. And very low confidence, though, because of his Gene Silva recent loss, but he should be able to win this fight. 11:43. Here we go. Ariane Lipski versus Jasudavicius. Ariane Lipski, a lot of people are on her. She's a plus 180 underdog. Jasudavicius is a minus 225. Over 2.5 is a minus 260. I think it will go the distance. But remember, if a lot of people are favoring that a lot of fights are going to go the distance, there could be one fight on this card that doesn't end up going the distance. A lot of people think this is going to be a boring fight. It might very well be, but we could still make some cash on it. Will this fight go the distance? Yes, at a minus 210. No, at a plus 160. I think it will go the distance at a minus 200, basically. Jazz by sub or on points, my best prop at a minus 165. I think that's the best prop. I'm choosing Jasudavicius. I haven't made an official pick flip yet, but off of what I've seen, off of all the tape study, I think Jazz can win by submission, or she can win on She can win by submission or on points at a minus 165. We know Ariane Lipski. If you want to take her by sub or on points. I don't think she's going to knock out Jasudavicius, but we know that Ariane Lipski has more finishes by submission. She's very good with her game. Her BJJ is very good, and she could wrap up Jasudavicius. I just don't think it's very likely. I think this fight goes the distance at a minus 210, and I'll get Jasudavicius by sub or on points. It's going to be a very good fight when they match up. Ariane Lipski is a little bit taller. I don't know if that's the shoes or what, but it could play a factor in the cage tomorrow, considering that the crowd's going to be loud, and a lot of people expect this fight to go the distance, so it might be more competitive than a lot of people expect. Parlay Jasudavicius, but be careful with her because she tends to make fights a little bit more competitive than they need to be. Give me Jasudavicius by submission or on points at a minus 165. Very good fight, but I'm excited for this one. Aiemann Zahabi versus Pedro Munhoz. This is a very good fight. Ariel Helwani versus Pedro Munhoz. Everybody's been making this joke. It's not even funny no more. Ariel Helwani versus Pedro Munhoz. So, Aiemann Zahabi's a minus 150. Earlier this week, he was an underdog. Pedro Munhoz is now the underdog at a plus 124. This fight is a very close fight, very competitive fight. Pedro Munhoz is going to have those leg kicks. Pedro Munhoz looks healthy, but he is on the older factor. This is kind of a little bit of the changing of the guard for me, but we don't know. We know Pedro Munhoz tends to always be in these competitive fights that go the distance. He's never been finished. We know Aiemann Zahabi was the first to finish Aiemann by KO, I believe. And he's looking to finish Pedro Munhoz by KO and be the first one. He said he was inspired by Ilia Topuria. Over 2.5, minus 450. Will this fight go the distance? Yes, at a minus 370. Zahabi by decision, plus 110. Pedro by decision, plus 200. I think you could flip a quarter, choose whichever one you want. I'm going to choose Zahabi by decision at a plus 110. Will this fight go the distance? Yes, at a minus 370. It's juiced. Over 2.5, minus 450. I think, yes, this fight goes the distance at a minus 370. It's more parlayable. You don't really want to put all your earnings in that just in case there's a finish and just in case maybe Pedro Munhoz is teeing off with the leg kicks and there's like a no contest or something. You never know what could happen. He has had no contest before because of eye pokes. You never know. We don't want that to happen tomorrow, but give me Zahabi by decision at a plus 110. It's going to be a very competitive fight to win by 29-28 after losing the first round due to leg kicks and high volume output from Pedro Munhoz. My lock of the week time. It's my lock of the week time, man. Mike Malott versus Trevin Giles. It's going to be a very competitive fight. Mike Malott's a minus 310. Trevin Giles is a plus 240. Minus 310 for Mike Malott. Trevin Giles is a plus 240. It's going to be a very competitive fight in my opinion. I just think that this fight is not going the distance. It's favored not to go the distance. Earlier this week, just 2 days ago, this fight doesn't go the distance was a minus 290. Now, this fight doesn't go the distance is a minus 235. I think It's favored to not go the distance, obviously, because Trevin Giles has only been finished in all of his losses except for one match. And I think since it's a welterweight bout, a guy like Mike Malott has been finished in one of his losses as well, recently coming off to Neil Magny. So we know that this is going to be a pretty competitive fight. We know that they've had a grappling match as well. And you can take that into part. You could use that to have consideration into. But I think that this fight is definitely not going to go the distance. But if you want to play this game, over 1.5 minus 146, under 1.5 plus 114. I'll take the over 1.5 at a minus 146. Does this match go over 7.5 minutes? It might not. So you could get plus money on the under. I'm going to take the over. Mike Malott by KO or sub, minus 140. And then if you want Giles by KO at a plus 650. I think it's pick your poison with this fight. It's either Giles is going to finish Mike Malott by KO, or Mike Malott might get a club and sub, or he might get a TKO. I think it's going to be a very competitive fight, and none of these guys tend to go to the bell when they're losing a fight. So I think this fight is not going to go the distance. At a minus 235, we got it at a discount, and give me the over 1.5 at a minus 146, and give me Mike Malott by KO or sub at a minus 140. It's going to be a very competitive fight. It's my lock of the week. Not the most competitive, not the most confident lock of the week going into this week, but we ride, we go on into the sunset. We go. Marc-André Barriault versus Dustin Stoltzfus. Marc-André Barriault looked pretty decent on the scales. He looks more in shape than Dustin Stoltzfus. We know Dustin Stoltzfus is plus 164. Marc-André Barriault is minus 205. This is going to be one of the least competitive fights, in my opinion. It's still going to be competitive. Over 2.5, minus 138. Under 2.5, plus 108. Will this fight go the distance? Yes, at a minus 106. No, at a minus 122. Choose your poison. You don't have to. I think moneyline is favorable on either side. Minus 205 for Marc-André Barriault. I have Barriault, a well-rounded fighter, solid kickboxing, good takedowns, good jiu-jitsu, typical to press forward and wear you down on your feet. Has impressive striking volume at a 6 significant strikes landed per minute, and he gets hit around 5 strikes per minute. He's coming off of that KO loss to Joe Pyfer, and he's going to be taking on Dustin, who's a busy striker, very good power, very good BJJ. He's a BJJ black belt, and has been wrestling a lot more lately with 11 takedowns in his last 5 fights. I think this fight should go the distance. It's going to be competitive. Give me the over 2.5 at a minus 138, and give me this fight goes the distance, yes, at a minus 106. Give me Marc-André Barriault to win this fight by 29-28, unanimous decision, and he might be able to KO him, so be careful, but I think he won't. It's going to be very competitive, though. Brenson Ribeiro, this fight's not lasting. This fight might not last long, in my opinion. I don't think it will last long. Brenson Ribeiro at a minus. Brenson Ribeiro versus Kyle Machado. Kyle Machado's a minus 152. Brenson Ribeiro's a plus 124. When you look at this fight, over 2.5, plus money at a plus 118. Under 2.5, minus 150. Machado by KO on points is the best prop at a minus 120. Ribeiro by KO straight, plus 400. Will this fight go the distance? No, at a minus 205. I think that's the best prop. We look at both of these guys. They both look ready, and these guys tend to be very, very high finishers, especially Brenson Ribeiro. A lot of people have Brenson Ribeiro to win by KO. If you want, it's a plus 400. I just think that Kyle Machado should be better on the outside. It's going to be a very competitive fight. I think this fight doesn't go the distance. And give me Machado by KO on points. I don't think he's going to get a sub on Ribeiro. He could, but I don't think it's likely at all. Brenson Ribeiro's going to be throwing bombs. I think Kyle Machado's going to catch him with a counter, and he's going to KO Brenson Ribeiro. Give me Machado by KO on points at a minus 120. Although moneyline's the best on either side, just in case something happens, no contest or something, or DQ. Jonathan Denise, I feel bad for this guy. He shows up, and Derek Lewis is not able to show up. I don't know what happened. Plus 138 for Derek Lewis. Jonathan Denise minus 170. Give me Jonathan Denise money line, and give me the over 1.5 at a plus 110. Under 1.5 minus 140. These guys might start off the gate. Just throwing hammers. We know Derek Lewis throws a flying knee at Rodrigo de Lima, and he broke all his teeth with a flying knee. Who expected that he was going to throw a flying knee within the first 10 seconds? So the under 1.5 is favored at a minus 140. I think either prop is better. Choose which one you think is the best for you. Excuse me, but I think The over 1.5 at plus money is pretty good because this fight could go past 7.5 minutes. We know sometimes Derrick Lewis is in that fight where he's getting dominated and he's not getting finished, so he tends to survive a little bit longer if he's losing. Give me the over 1.5 at a plus 110. If you want to take the under 1.5, it's a minus 140. Fight doesn't go the distance, no, at a minus 600. And fight ends by KO is the best prop as well at a minus 390. I think this fight definitely ends by KO. If anything, it might end by K. Worst case scenario, it ends by a boring decision. But I think Denise by KO at a minus 110 is very good, and it's very good just to take by itself. Lewis by KO at a plus 220 is very good if you're on his side. I wish Lewis was here so that we could see how good they would face off. I was looking forward to that fight the most. And we saw Jonathan Denise back there. He actually got a little confused. Let's look at Rose Namajunas versus Erin Blanchfield. Rose Namajunas is a plus 112. Erin Blanchfield is a minus 138. Over 4.5, minus 260. Remember, with the bonuses, I said the over 2.5 for the co-main event and the over 2.5 for the main event. But we know that now switched. So now it shows that it's a over 4.5. Over 4.5 for minus 260. Under 4.5 is plus 196. If there's going to be a finish on either side, I think it's going to be on Erin Blanchfield's side. Although it's going to be a very, very competitive fight, I don't think there's going to be a finish on either side. You can't say you're 100% certain, but I think this fight goes the distance at a minus 260. Will this fight go the distance? Yes, at a minus 235. No at a plus 180. Blanchfield by points, plus 160. Rose by points, plus 195. Choose your poison. Blanch by sub, plus 450. Rose by KO, plus 700. Just wanted to throw their Hail Marys out there, see how much plus money it was. We look at them face off. Rose Namajunas looks ready. Erin Blanchfield looks ready. And I'm going to be making an official pick flip. I'm going to go Erin Blanchfield. I know this is going to be a very competitive fight. I know Rose Namajunas should be very fast on the outside. She should be able to win this fight. But I think when Erin Blanchfield closes the distance and gets the takedown, after I did tape study, I think she should be able to get the takedown and she should be able to try to control Rose Namajunas. It's going to be a very competitive fight. They both fought Menem Farhat, and we know Rose Namajunas look very competitive, if not more competitive against Menem Farhat than Erin Blanchfield. I do think that styles make fights. I think over 4.5 at a minus 260 is very good. It's parlayable. And I think if you want to take one of them, just take one of them to win by decision. But we know that this fight's going to be very competitive. The odds have been fluctuating all day. But I'm going to go Erin Blanchfield to win this fight by unanimous decision. I think it's going to be a very competitive fight. I'm a little bit low confidence on this pick, but after watching their tape and seeing how they face off, I think the physical aspect and the stronger fighter will be Erin Blanchfield. It's going to be competitive because Rose always has a very good get-up game. But I think if Erin Blanchfield can get her game down, if she can get on top of Rose Namajunas, she can definitely get her game going. And she should be able to bounce back off of that loss to Menem Farhat. Whoever wins this fight should be next, if not after Menem Farhat for the title shot. It's going to be a very competitive fight. Give me Erin Blanchfield to win this fight by unanimous decision, 48-47. Split 48-47 Rose, and then 48-47 Erin Blanchfield. It's going to be a very competitive fight, and I think if you want to skip this fight, there's nothing wrong with that. Official pick flip, Erin Blanchfield. Let's go. Give me Erin Blanchfield to win at a minus 138. Very competitive fight. Erin Blanchfield has very sloppy striking, though, so I'm making a risk pick, and be careful. Never go wrong with the Thug Rose. I just think Erin Blanchfield should be able to take her down. Very competitive fight, though. Now we have the main event. Brandon Moreno versus Albazi. Very competitive fight. Moreno walks up to the scales. Looks healthy. Looks clean. Minus 176 for Brandon Moreno. Amir Albazi plus 142. Over 4.5. Minus 210. Under 4.5. Plus 160. Over 4.5 is expected. Considering Moreno's bouncing back. Trying to bounce back off of 2 split decision losses. That being to Brandon Royval and Pantoja. He had a very competitive fight with Pantoja and Royval. He just looked like a shell of his former self, though, against Royval. He didn't do a lot of moving. He just looked at his opponent, didn't throw in combinations, and he looked like he was off. We can say that his footwork was off, and we can say maybe he had a bad day. Over 4.5, minus 210, I think it's good. Moreno by KO on points, minus 135, but we do know Moreno has a very good rear naked choke. He's hit it on Davison Figueiredo. Albazi by sub on points. Best prop for Albazi, minus 165. Moreno to win by KO, 3, 4, and 5, plus 900. And Albazi to win by sub, 3, 4, and 5. I just wanted to throw that out there. It's plus money as well. I just have to get it right now. Albazi could win, and I think if there's going to be a finish on either side in the later rounds, it could be Albazi to win by submission. We do know, though, both of these guys have a high pace, high volume. Albazi to win by submission in rounds 3, 4, and 5 is a plus 2,100. Not likely. Maybe it's more likely Moreno gets a KO in rounds 3, 4, and 5. But you don't have to play that parlay as well. You can do money line on either side. Brandon Moreno should be favored to win this fight. He is favored to win this fight. He should have a higher volume output. But I think sometimes if you can wrestle Moreno, make him a little bit tired, and have something that he has to worry about, you can beat him. We just know Moreno is always in a competitive fight no matter who he fights. This guy's throwing crazy amount of output, amount of pace, and volume. But I think Albazi should be able to edge out a squeaky controversial decision. It sucks because if Moreno loses this fight, he will be on a 3-fight losing streak. But I think, and Albazi's coming off of that controversial win to Kai Kara-France. A lot of people scored that fight for Kai Kara-France. I'm going to go Amir Albazi to win this fight, and I'm going to just take him at a plus 142. I think if you want, let's say if you want more juice, if you don't like Amir Albazi just at a plus 142, you can go double chance Amir Albazi by submission or on points at a plus 165. I know earlier, I messed up and I said it was a minus 165, but Amir Albazi by submission or on points is a plus 165. It's very good. I think moneyline is very good on either side. I think it's the best prop unless you want to go, this fight goes the distance at a minus 182. I think that's another good prop as well. It's parlayable. I think this fight definitely goes the distance. But if you want to take one person, give me Amir Albazi to win this fight by 48-47. Amir Albazi, 48-47. Brandon Moreno, and then 48-47 Amir Albazi, if not by submission in the 4th round. I think Amir Albazi is going to look competitive. I think this fight is going to struggle for Amir Albazi early for him to try to take down Moreno because Moreno has a very good get-up game, and he's always scrambling. His scrambling is one of the best in the entire flyweight division. But I think Amir Albazi has a very good grappling game, and he has very good striking. He's coming off of that neck surgery and heart surgery, but I think he should be able to win this fight. And he needs to push the cardio. He has to push the cardio early from start to finish. Full, just like he did with the Kai Kara-France. I know he lost that fight, but I know a lot of people think he lost that fight, but he has to push the volume from the first start of the bell all the way to the last bell. We know that at the end of the rounds, he tends to look a little bit better than the beginning. So I think he should be able to win by a snowball effect. Rounds maybe 2 and then 4 and 5. We know Brandon Moreno should be able to have cardio for days. He will have cardio for days. And if he is prime Brandon Moreno, he will show up to fight. Give me Amir Albazi to win this fight by submission or on points at a plus 165. And give me Amir Albazi money line at a plus 142. And give me this fight will go the distance at a minus 182. This is going to be a crazy fight. UFC Edmonton, here we go. Let me know what you guys think. A little bit faster this time just because I had to see where I wanted to get these last minute predictions, see if I wanted to do an official pick flip, and we did an official pick flip. Let me know if you guys like this video, and let me know if you guys enjoyed this, because let me know if you guys think if Brandon Moreno's going to win or if Amir Albazi is going to win. It's going to be a very competitive fight on either side. No matter who wins, I think they're next up for the belt. You're only 2 to 3 fights away from a belt or a title shot, considering a guy got a title shot off of a flyweight debut. So you can never count out anybody out. Very competitive fight. Enjoy the fights tomorrow. Going to be awesome. Let's go. Let's go Amir Albazi to win this fight by unanimous decision or split decision, 48-47. Give me Amir Albazi and give me him to win by sub or decision. Specifically by decision. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys have a great time watching the fights tomorrow. Let's get it. Hey.